Right then, today I thought we'd have a look at the Nvidia Shield. Now, I mentioned this a couple of videos ago, that I was going to put together a little bit of a review for you guys. At that point in time, I hadn't really had a lot of time to really use the device, so a couple of weeks later, I've now been using this device on and off as I think I really should be. When I ever feel that I really want to use it, I've been using it for various different things. So I thought today would be a good time for a review. So, straight off the bat, the Shield runs on the new Tegra 4 processor, which is also made by Nvidia, which is heavily geared towards gaming and has got very, very good graphical prowess. And it's state-of-the-art as well. I believe a quad-core processor sits in there, sitting alongside 2GB of RAM, so any of the Android games you might want to play, because this thing runs on Android, will run beautifully. The device itself is basically like a console controller with a 5-inch 720p screen stuck on the top of it. And you think that that might be a little bit clunky, but it actually works really well. Having the benefit of a full-size controller really does work well here. It literally sits in your hand like an Xbox 360 controller, but its layout is more akin to the PS3 controller, so anybody that plays on console would feel right at home here. When I first got my hands on the device and I heard it was a 720p screen, I was a little bit hesitant, but having used the device now for a good 3 weeks, I'm happy to report that it doesn't really make a difference. The screen itself is really pin sharp and bright, and having that higher resolution I don't think would make that much difference. You can't really tell that it's a 720p display anyway, and as that, really, it doesn't come into play all that much. I mean, it's got quite a good touchscreen on it. It's not, I don't know, it's not quite as good as what you'd expect on a mobile phone, for example, but then it is at a little bit of an awkward angle if you're going to be sort of touching the screen all the time. A really cool feature of the Shield actually is that you can use the right analog stick as a virtual mouse, so there's a mouse that will appear on the screen, and then if you use the right trigger, that acts as a click button, so rather than having to click the screen if you don't want to, you can actually use the built-in controller to do that for you. Going back to some of the internals, it's got a very good speaker system. I believe it's a 3 soundbar speaker system, so you've got 2 speakers on top and then one that sits on the front of the device in between the 2 handles where you hold the controller, and the audio itself is actually really good for a little handheld console. In terms of connections, this comes with a mini USB, I think, micro, mini. It's the one that you get on every single Android phone anyway. A mini HDMI port, and there's the option to expand the memory from the 16GB that are included with a micro SD card. One thing that caught me by surprise is when I was looking for the expandable storage on the back, there's actually a heatsink on the back with a fan on the inside of it. If that doesn't signal to you that this is a powerful device, then what will? I mean, it doesn't really detract too much from the design as it's built in really well, and it doesn't get that hot either, so the fan must do a good job in there. If it's something that you're sort of thinking, oh, I don't really want something like that in a device, I think it's necessary because it's so powerful, this thing can run pretty much anything. Now, moving on to some of the software, you'll see some clips already where I've been watching some YouTube videos and things like that. You can also go onto Twitter and do pretty much anything you would normally do with an Android device. But mostly, what you're going to be using it for is gaming. And there are some really good games out there on Android at the moment that are great for the Shield. Now, in this part here, I'm not actually using the Shield. This is my girlfriend Jess, who's being my little hand model for me. That's why there's nail polish on the hands. Yes, please don't think that I'm the one with nail polish on my hands. I'm totally not here. But some of the games, as I said, are really good on the Shield. There are a little bit, maybe some issues. It can be a little bit clunky to get the gamepad to work properly. Some of the games aren't fully mapped for the gamepad. Some work really well, like GTA San Andreas, and the racing game that I don't know if I showed you that in the video actually, and things like Sonic and games like that are mapped very well on the controller. But there are other games that are available that just aren't built for the Shield yet. They can run on it, and some of the buttons do work, but in the menu screens and things like that, you have to resort to using the touchscreen, which is a little bit of a downside, but I think if the developers got hold of the Shield and mapped it properly, the games will work really well anyway. But one of the main functions of the Shield, and pretty much the main reason why I'm making this video for you, is that it has the ability to stream games from your PC onto the device and allows you to play them with the controller as well. So I've chosen Battlefield 4 to show you today for this. It may not be the best example, but it's the game that I know and love, and I know that you guys like to see footage of that, so I thought I'd give it a go. So in streaming Battlefield 4 from my PC to the Shield, what you have is the next-gen console version of Battlefield 4 running directly on the Shield. Now, none of the processing is actually done on the device, it's all done back on the PC, so there's a connection over Wi-Fi between your PC and the Shield. So there is a tiny bit of noticeable latency between the two devices, but you're not going to notice it. There is now an update for the Shield where you can use another Wi-Fi connection, i.e. further away if you're at somebody else's house or visiting someone in another country, that you can connect back to your own PC. And that's where the latency would start to be noticeable in multiplayer games, especially Battlefield 4. And it's because of that reason that I probably won't be using the Shield for multiplayer games. That latency there is just a killer for me. If I was playing campaign games, which I most likely will be, this device is absolutely perfect because it doesn't rely on an internet connection. And that's the main issue that I have here. Until there is some advancement in the latency issues across the internet, which isn't going to happen anytime soon, this device is really just not great for multiplayer games. But as I said, for campaign games, this thing is going to be brilliant. But in terms of Battlefield 4 on the Shield, for me, it's not too great because I'm really rubbish with a controller. I'd much rather use a mouse and keyboard. That is now an option with the Shield. You can put it into what's called console mode, and you can Bluetooth connect a mouse and keyboard to it, wire it up to an external TV monitor, put that down in front of it, sit back on your couch, stick a dinner tray on top of your legs, and away you go with a mouse and keyboard. That can be at anybody's house. Once again, you can connect across any internet connection in the world. You would have to deal with the latency, but that is an absolutely fantastic idea. But thanks very much for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed something a little bit different on the channel. I tried to keep it Battlefield 4 focused, you know me. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit me up with a like, and comments are always appreciated. Let me know what you think about the Shield down below. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.